Welcome to the Middleborough Board of Selectmen. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening and welcome to the Middleborough Board of Selectmen meeting for today, which is Monday, September 22nd, 2014. We are being taped and broadcast by Middleborough Community Cable Access Media and broadcast on Verizon and Comcast. Unanticipated. Does any member of the board have anything under unanticipated? Nothing? All right, well, I do. I was recently contacted about a celebration for the 350th anniversary of the town of Middleborough. We were incorporated in 1669, so that's coming up. 350 years is kind of a big deal. Only happens about once every 350 years. So if
Wow. Good.
so, Mr. McKinnon, would you like to head up that committee?
What? I think that's a perfect committee for the tourism
We
event.
are, Mr. Chair, we are on it.
All right.
We are on it.
So if anyone is interested in helping out in any way, shape, or form, please contact the tourism committee. And we have about 5 years to plan for this. I know that the town of Plymouth has been planning for about 10 years. It's kind of a big deal over there in Plymouth. I think it's a fairly big deal here in Middleborough as well. So if we can get all hands on deck for that, I think that would be great.
Mr. Chair, if I could just give
Yeah.
some information on that. We have been working with Plymouth because Plymouth is celebrating their 400th the next year. So we're trying to collaborate, so it'll be a 2-year celebration with our 350th and their 400th. And if you do want to help, go to discovermiddleborough.com, or you can email discovermiddleborough@gmail.com. That's with the UGH on the end.
All right. Does any member of the audience have anything under unanticipated? No? All right. Announcements and recognitions. Any member of the board have anything for announcements or recognitions?
I do. Just a reminder that Sunday, October 5th is the second annual Bag-O tournament for the Jesse Heckler Foundation. And if you're interested in doing that, go to jesse.foundation to see about signing up. And this week is also Banned Books Week, all week. So I did notice that the library has a special collection highlighting titles affected by censorship or outright banning. So if you want to move on over to the library and check out one of those books.
How can a book be banned if it's at the library?
Ban the
In
book?
the past, it might have been banned or banned in other parts of the country.
All right. Okay.
Got my attention on that.
What's that, Mr. McKinnon?
I said, she got my attention on that. Banning the books? I don't think so. Not a good idea.
Not
Ooh.
All right, I just want, there were a number of us Friday night who went to the Elks for Chief Gates' retirement party. I just want to say we had a great time, and just congratulations, thanks again to Chief Gates. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 8th, 2014, and September 15th, one at a time, September 8th, 2014.
So moved.
Motion to approve the executive session minutes for September 8th, 2014?
There we go. Have a motion, second?
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I'd entertain a motion to approve the regular minutes from September 15th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. And I would entertain a motion to approve the executive session minutes for September 15th as well.
So moved.
Second.
We're waiting on those.
Okay.
There's a memo on your minutes cover page.
Okay.
Sorry.
I take it back.
All right. So we'll hold off on that. I'd entertain a motion to approve the warrants for week ending September 20th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. New business. I would entertain a motion to sign an employment agreement with Acting Chief Joe Perkins.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Congratulations, Chief. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Can we do a-
And I think you're going to get sworn in now?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Is that going to be by us or by the...
I believe that's Ms. Ferrer.
Would you like us before the microphone?
Sure.
Okay, if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph M. Perkins,
I, Joseph M. Perkins,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
the duties incumbent upon me as the Chief of Police
the duties incumbent upon me as Chief of Police
in the town of Middleborough
in the town of Middleborough
in good faith
in good faith
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
I, Joseph M. Perkins,
I, Joseph M. Perkins,
promise to impart my professional standards of quality
promise to impart my professional standards of quality
and integrity
and integrity
so that the conduct of the affairs
so that the conduct of the affairs
of my office shall be above reproach
shall be above reproach
and merit public confidence
and merit public confidence
in the position of Chief of Police.
in the position of Chief of Police.
I, Joseph M. Perkins,
I, Joseph M. Perkins,
promise to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
promise to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the bylaws of the town of Middleborough,
and the bylaws of the town of Middleborough,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is your time. Stick it in hard.
Can I get one chance first?
Can I still go over there on Friday night?
You can go over on Friday night. Just give him a nice pair of bracelets still.
Yeah.
Not again.
Good? Yep. Well, thank you.
You guys can stay if you want.
There goes the crowd.
That's it. All alone again.
I did forget one of the announcements. It's just a reminder that there is still plenty of mosquitoes around, and that there has been positive tests of West Nile virus and Triple E identified in and around the town of Middleborough, so please use mosquito repellent. Remember, dawn and dusk, those are the big times for it, and yeah, just be careful out there. All right, I'd entertain a motion to sign the fire union contract.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, what we're doing now, we finished MOUs with most of the unions in the spring. We have one more coming up in the fall. And from there, we're going to integrate the MOU into the existing contract. So there's nothing new about this. We're just creating the new and up-to-date document for all the unions.
All right, sounds good. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. I'd entertain a motion to approve the change of manager for the B&B Village Enterprises Incorporated from Chris Morby to Kerry Beers.
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, do you have anything to add to this? Or?
Did I not put anything in there? I emailed you just for those. This was just a technicality of a lot of red tape and paperwork they have to straighten out. But Kerry's been the owner forever, and he's running the place, so they just need to get this squared away before we go time.
All right.
So, we should be good.
So this is part of what happened last year, came up last year. There was
Yes.
some confusions
Yeah.
in there, this
They had
resolves
some-
all that.
Yeah, they had some outstanding issues that needed to be cleared up before they could actually go forward with them.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I saw the letter from their attorney. They paid the fees and everything is
Yes.
set as far as that goes then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I'd entertain a motion to appoint Hunter Seidenoff as a member of the Cultural Council, filling in the vacancy caused by the resignation of Mary Cole.
So moved.
Second.
Is
Is
Hunter
Mr.
here?
Seidenoff here? No? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I would entertain a motion to reappoint and appoint members of the Herring Fisheries Commission as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Actually, I'll abstain. I'm sorry. Opposed? Passes unanimously. I can't find them.
I know. I know, I was looking too. It's way back. Where
I'll
are you
read them
going?
if I can find
I
them.
found them. Right here.
All right, volunteer observers for one-year term ending September 30th. Harold Atkins, Mike Bernansky, Alan Crowley, Cynthia Gendron, Joseph Urbanski, Sylvester Zinkowitz, Corey Leeson, Brad Day, fish wardens for a 3-year term ending September 30th, 2017. David Kavanaugh and Will Orkin. All right. Where are we? I'd entertain a motion to approve a betterment agreement for 89 Vernon Street in the amount of $21,400.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I would entertain a motion to approve a one-day all-alcoholic beverage liquor license for Mucky's Liquors on October 8th from 5 to 10 p.m. at 200 Oak Point Drive.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? That's the Taste of Middleborough, I believe, and I think tickets are available now, but it's quite a good time if you're interested in purchasing tickets. I think you can get them at Maria's. I can't find the thing on here, so I can't read it to you, but I'm getting there. But it's a good time, and if you've never been, you should try it, and if you have been, you should get your tickets soon, because you know it sells out, and I think a couple of us are going to be there as well, so get your tickets while you can. So the motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. I'd entertain a motion to approve a secondhand license for Diamond Treasures, presently licensed at 5 Wareham Street, Suite B, and moving to 17 South Main Street.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I'd entertain a motion to authorize the chairman to sign Realty Networks Associates, Inc. exclusive rights to lease listing agreement.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Dalton.
this agreement is still with Dan Murray, our counsel, and he was making a couple changes, and will have it to us tomorrow, so we'll have to do it next week.
All right. Oh, we're way ahead of schedule. I guess we'll do correspondence. Mr. McKinnon, anything on correspondence?
Well, I don't think so.
Make something up, would you?
Nothing Selectmen
Ms.
today.
Delphi?
Yes, number 3, Maureen Franco is resigning due to work obligations from the CPC Committee, Community Preservation Committee, so there was an opening on that. If people, I don't think anybody has applied yet, so if they have, okay, 1. So it's still open then, if anyone's interested. Send letters to the Board of Selectmen, that's the Community Preservation Committee, and that would be until the end of Ms. Franco's term, which is, do you have any idea?
I don't know.
4 years? Yeah. It's a while. It's a while. So it's, if you're not familiar with the Community Preservation Committee, there is a small surcharge put on our tax bills that go into a certain fund that the state matches up to, some years it's been 50%, 22%, so it's a very good investment, and that money that is collected goes into specific funds to be used for affordable housing, open space, historic preservation, things like that. If you're not, how am I doing, Jane? That's a very simple description of the Community Preservation Committee. They manage this fund. So if you're interested in any of those things in your community, please send us a letter.
It's actually a very important committee, and they do a lot of good
It is.
here in town, so if you are interested, please send a letter along.
And that's
Ms.
all.
Stewart?
Yes, the Massachusetts Office on Disability is presenting a 2-day community access monitor training session. That's Wednesday, October 22nd and Thursday, October 23rd, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days at the Town Hall in Braintree. It's $15 for consumers, $85 for professionals, and I think you, if you're a professional, you get some sort of credit that you have to take each year. But it's about the regulations of the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board and the Americans with Disability Act, standards for accessible design. So if anybody is interested in that, I intend to go to that, so I don't know if any of my fellow board members are interested, or if we send our building inspector there, or it looks like it will be a good training.
All right. Anything else?
No.
Mr. Knowlton?
All set.
All right.
Song and dance, right?
Zooming right along, aren't we?
Yeah. I wonder, actually, yeah, we got a very nice letter from Dylan Barrio. He sent his picture. Adorable little kid. Dear Chairman Frawley and fellow selectmen and women, we are sending you this to say thank you for voting unanimously to have our town lit up in gold for the entire month of September and for wearing our gold ribbons. Dylan is very happy and very proud of our town. We are so grateful to all of you for your support. We love seeing the town hall, Middleborough Gas and Electric, police and fire stations lit up, as well as many homes. Next year, we hope to see even more gold. Our most sincere thanks and gratitude. Don, Phil, Hayden, and Dylan Barrio. So that was awful nice. And a real nice family. He's quite a precocious little kid. So thank you, Dylan and family, for that. What else was I going to say? Yeah, we talked about that last week.
All right. Speaking of CPC,
Do we have Joe's contract yet?
All right, so here's some correspondence. The members of the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Middleborough is celebrating their 125th anniversary on Sunday, October 19th, 2014. 2 p.m. program, followed by a reception at 25 South Main Street. The program will feature music performed on our newly renovated 1890 Woodbury and Harris Tracker organ, made possible in part by a grant from the Community Preservation Committee and the town of Middleborough. So we got that going on October 19th. And
I can mention the Oktoberfest coming up again, and
Might
the
as
ghost
well.
tours at the town hall.
let's talk about that a
It's
little bit.
official, it's haunted. We've had 3 different studies done here, and on Halloween night, for the first time ever, we're going to open it up for ghost tours to the public. So if you're interested, go to discovermiddleborough.com and find out about tickets and what time we're going to be here. That's on Halloween night, October 31st. And before that, coming up is the Oktoberfest on October 18th, which the Tourism Committee is sponsoring. It's going to be at the KOA. We have German music, German food, a beer garden. We have, starting in the afternoon in collaboration with the Parks Department, a costume contest for the kids and a jack-o'-lantern carving contest for kids or adults, whoever want to. That's with the Parks Department. And then organizations, individuals, communities out there who want to enter and win a cash prize for decorating one of the cabins in a Halloween mode, a fall harvest mode at the KOA, go to discovermiddleborough.com and sign up to come in and to decorate a cabin. You can come and you'll decorate the outside of a cabin that you will be assigned, and then all of the attendees will vote, and the top 3 cabins will be getting a cash prize.
All right.
I'm doing one.
I think you talked my wife into doing one as well.
Yes, she is. The twirlers are coming to do it. Scouts, if you have sports teams, bands, drama clubs, anyone who needs a little money for their project. Schools, yes, in the schools, the PTAs, all of you. I'm going to challenge you all to come out there because I have a really awesome decorating cabin at home. Whatever, I'm bringing all the decorations. He doesn't know about it, so I'm challenging you now.
The Massasoit Community College is going to have their 2014 Annual Fall Gala on Saturday, October 25th, 2014, 6 to 11 p.m. at the Conference Center at Massasoit. Cocktails, dinner, dancing to the sounds of the infractions, raffle and silent auction to benefit Massasoit Community College and the United Student Fund. Cost is $100 per ticket and $1,000 per ticket. So you can go to massasoit.edu/gala to reserve your seat today. Yeah, we're getting there.
Give them to the little people down here.
No, just the
We could take a 5-minute recess so we can sign all this paperwork up.
We'll take a 5-minute recess, and we'll see you at 7:30. Try it. So at 7:30, we will have a hearing on a Class 2 automobile dealer license application for Rajaput Inc., DBA Route 28 Quality Auto Sale at 282 West Grove Street. Hearing is now open. Come on up, sir.
Hello,
How you doing?
good.
So you want to open up a car dealership?
Yeah, for 282 West Grove Street under Rajput Inc. DBA Route 28 Quality Auto Sale. And I try to get for 18 car license, used car license class 2.
Have you read the memo from the building inspector?
Excuse me, I don't think he's seen it because it came in late Friday, so, but according to the building inspector, he says that he advised him.
All right.
before
I have
Friday,
a,
And I wasn't here.
I have a letter here from the building inspector that says the insufficient area of this lot was discussed with the owner prior to his purchase of the lot. So I don't think the area that you bought is of sufficient size to do what you want to do on it.
Yeah, but when I went to buy and I asked him to, I gonna get the used car license.
All right.
Did you get the letter from the Conservation Commission also?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a
Yeah.
question? Who did you ask when you went to buy the property?
For building department,
You did ask the building department?
yeah, me and the old owner, we went together.
Okay.
I don't, am I missing something? Because I don't think we can grant you this license. We have a letter from the building inspector, and we have a letter from our conservation commissioner telling us that we shouldn't do this. The letter from the building inspector is something, he says that did you get just the letter?
I did.
Yeah,
The insufficient area of this lot was discussed with the owner prior to his purchase. The 9 cars in the front are going to be sitting on the state highway layout,
No, but
so we can't have that.
But if you look the map, the front only 4 cars. They mostly car on the back.
Where is your map? I think we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, those are all going to be, oh, wait, yeah, those 6 cars you have out front
Yeah.
would be on the Route 28 layout. Which means that you can't do that.
Mr. Chairman, is
Yes.
the building inspector suggesting that if the applicant applied for 9 cars instead of the 18, you would approve that, or, because he only
I'm
mentioned
trying to
the
get more
9.
to read it. and-
If we, I think we might, well,
I think it's got to go back before the building. The building inspector has to look at this again, and they have to come up with a resolution, and I think he's also going to take this before Conservation Commission, because there's wetlands and there's cranberry bogs right in that area, and you can't park cars right next to cranberry bogs. That doesn't work. That's against the, wetland protection laws and
it's a wetland resource
conservation.
area.
But the
So-
wet is so behind from the area.
If you're planning on doing any work within 100 feet of the wetlands, though, any kind of paving or
Yeah.
parking vehicles, or even if it's not paved, you still have to go in front of the Conservation Commission if they determine that it's going to affect the wetlands at all.
But if building department happy to get 9, I can change to the 9.
I don't know if he is happy to do 9.
It all has to be brought to us complete.
Oh,
It can't, we make final decision predicated based on what everybody
Whatever.
says. So we can't issue you a permit when our department heads haven't either
issue.
completely agree with everything and send a letter to indicate that they agree with it. Now, you've got two departments that are saying this could be a problem. Doesn't mean there is a problem, could be a problem. So you have to talk to both building department and conservation to
Okay.
get them their blessing, and then we can discuss
Because
it.
the building inspector alone is saying there's a problem with the front parking and the back because of the buffer in the back. And the front, you'd be parking on state property on Route 28.
Yeah, we can't have that.
So he's basically not consenting to the plan that was presented. So you would have to continue the hearing, and you could meet with him to see if there's any other option.
Okay.
But he's saying this is, I don't know if he'd allow any cars between what he's saying and conservation.
Yeah, I would recommend that you speak with the building department
Sure.
and see what you need to do to get them to sign on to this.
Okay.
And since you're going to be right down the hall, you should go speak to the conservation agent,
Sure.
Tricia Cassidy, and see what you need to do as far as her commission is concerned to get the proper recommendations, because we have two department heads who are telling us not to grant you this license. So you need to speak to them and see what you need to do in order to get them to say, yeah, this is okay. And then
Okay.
you can come back to us, and if everybody says, yeah, it's okay, more than likely we'll say, yes,
Okay.
it's okay as well.
Yeah, that's
But
okay.
at this point, we're not going to say anything.
Sure.
We'll continue the hearing, and you can go speak to these people, get all that stuff lined up, and then you can come back to us. And once everything's all ironed out, we can hear your application then. All right?
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion to continue this.
To-
So
Set a
moved.
date, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we do 7:50 on September 29th?
You don't know that we have time, do you see this?
Well, yeah.
Those may not even go through, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think September 29th is,
Right. There's a chance those might not be happening, but.
We're not, we have the town meeting on the 6th, Columbus Day the 13th, so the next thing is the 20th, and that's, if those two hearings don't go through on the 29th, then the 20th is probably, October 20th is going to get jammed up.
20th is jammed up, but, there's an interesting note there about the 27th,
Yes.
but maybe the 27th.
Okay. So,
How about 8 o'clock on the 27th?
Okay. Motion to continue hearing to October 27th at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Second.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I have a motion and a second to continue this to October 27th at 8 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll see you then.
Sure. Thank you.
Good luck. All right.
You read some of the stuff you send out.
All right, we have a meeting at 7:45. We'll move that up to 7:40 with the schools and the district emergency response team. Update by the co-chairs, Liz Haskell and Andy Deisel.
Rosalie Weiss, Superintendent of Schools. I'd like to introduce Liz Haskell and Andy Deisel, who are co-chairs of DIRT. We sent you a booklet that was a series of guidelines from the governor, and we'd like to share with you what we've done in terms of our DIRT work.
Thank you, Dr. Weiss, and thank you, Board, for inviting us here tonight to hear from us. I'd also like to recognize and thank Mr. Giovannoni for being here, a member of our school committee, for his support in supporting us here tonight. We are the co-chairs of the District Emergency Response Team, otherwise known as DIRT. We're still working on the acronyms, but it works for us. And really, our cover here symbolizes two factions of what we're presently working on. The first half to the top left-hand side is an icon taken from the governor's task force report on school safety and security, and also a coalition, a team effort truly between the Middleborough Police Department, the Middleborough Public Schools, and Middleborough Fire. The district team is comprised of two houses, basically, the executive committee, and that is comprised of first responders, district and school administrators, and then the other house, which has been just absolutely integral in our growth and our ability to move forward as much as we have in the last 2+ years, is the Community Advisory Council. And in the later slide, we detail who exactly serves on that council. Here before you is a list of our executive committee. Again, you can see that MPD with SRO Sergeant Greg Trask and Captain Tim Reed are our two mainstays as representatives from the two town departments that have just given us absolutely phenomenal information and insight in the area of emergency response, as well as district administrators from every building in the district. It's very important to note that not only are the people on this list very active and attend regularly our meetings that we have in our community, but they're not just interested parents and concerned citizens, they're also specialists that are able to add really important insight to what we're doing. Kerry McCullum is a parent in our district. He's a former critical care nurse and of the patient care director of Good Samaritan Hospital. So not only is he able to advise us and direct us and give us a lot of feedback as to where we should be going, but he's also been a phenomenal resource to us, and in a later slide we'll detail just how. A little bit further down, Patty Delaney, another parent in our district, a PTA member. She serves on the Bridgewater State University Crisis Management team, and she's provided a lot of literature and a lot of great guidance for us. Bob Kinney, he's involved in pretty much every philanthropic group in the town, and he's been a phenomenal resource. And of course, I'm sure you know the name Mike Pilla, former Middleborough School Committee member, and he's just had such great professional experience in this topic. He's a safety manager at Ocean Spring and 3M, so we certainly are in the right place to receive such great help from the community.
So we had worked together to establish our mission statement, and the mission statement for the Middleborough Public Schools District Emergency Response Team is to ensure the safety of the entire Middleborough Public Schools community by developing and implementing district-wide safety protocols and procedures. So this is what we use to guide all the decisions that we make around the district. Our work started officially in October of 2012. It was under Dr. Weiss's leadership. She said, you know, these are some things that we need to take a look at. So Andy actually started the work, and I had the opportunity to join the team, and we really did an evaluation of where we were in terms of our safety protocols and action plan in terms of how we would move forward and set some short-term and long-term goals. So we started with our executive committee and our community advisory council, and then Andy, SRO Trask, and I went to a variety of school safety trainings. And all of these trainings are based on best practices in terms of safety in schools. So from that point, we came back to our schools and started talking about what our plans would be and did a needs assessment for every school in the district. We moved on to take a look at our flip chart. We did have a school safety protocols and procedures flip chart that had been filled with a lot of the protocols that were cutting edge a few years ago, but we started to update them and are moving forward with the distribution of that flip chart this year. We also have key card entry installed at all of our buildings, which has created an opportunity for us to have all of the doors locked during the day, and people who need to get in are authorized to do that. And we started in 2012 and 13 to install the cameras at Nichols Middle School, and you'll see that we are completing that project later this year in the rest of the schools. We also started by executing one lockdown drill at every school, and it was a practice. It was not something that was part of our regular practice, and we really have instituted it as part of what we do every year. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that from last year. And we secured what in your report are called Go Kits. We call them emergency buckets. They are buckets filled with emergency supplies, medical supplies, and a variety of other things that if we did have an emergency, we'd be able to utilize in every classroom.
The following year, 2013-2014, we continued to really build on what we had accomplished in year number one. I'd like to highlight the holding of a forum open to all stakeholders in the Middleborough Public Schools community. We held an open forum for the topic of school safety and security. And here's where we received a lot of support from the community. I mentioned before Carrie McCullum from Good Samaritan Hospital. They were able to donate 400 medical kits filled with supplies that in the case of many possible emergencies that could befall people in a school, really there's everything from sutures in there to Band-Aids, everything in between. So really it's a fantastic and quite costly donation, and the people of Good Samaritan and the volunteers put it together, so it was really team effort from them, and Carrie was really happy to help. Carrie also put us in contact with a gentleman from American Medical Response who donated 400 lights/whistles to go in the buckets. Typically, if the lights were to go out, this would provide a light source that would be constant and would be able to do tasks a teacher might need to do in time of emergency. Also, the Pierce trustees really came through for us when we asked them to donate the funds to support a purchase of 75 new walkie-talkies and 5 bases, one for each school. And they, without hesitation, very quick turnaround, were answering the bell. And so I'm very happy to say that the rollout for that is about 99% complete at this point. We built on it, and I've been a teacher in the district for 10 years before I became an administrator 2+ years ago, and I can count on one hand the number of lockdown drills and stay put drills that we have executed as a school in Middleborough High School, and I'm very happy to say that in our short-term and long-term goals we have scheduled in year 1 we did 1 per school, in year 2 we did 2 per school, 1 announced and 1 unannounced, so we're continuing to build and grow in that capacity. We've also grown in the way that we disseminate our information to our staff. Liz mentioned before that we had emergency protocols in place, but it turned out when we really did a needs assessment and we were very analytic about our plans, it turned out that each school had a different plan. They had different tips and different verbiage, and a lot of it was also outdated. So we reached out to what really we call a network of school safety helpers and friends. I reached out to a contact at Plymouth South High School, Patty Fry, who's the principal over there, and she was very supportive of the movement, and she offered a lot of help in starting work on the safety and security flip chart, which I'm proud to say has been completed and just waiting to be rolled out. And we also, as Liz and Officer Trask and I were trained in school safety, we actually conducted our very first training of the staff, and we did it at Reed's Academy to really wonderful reviews.
So the report from the task force that you have in front of you was issued in this past July, and there you can see the website on the screen. You can access this report and take a look at the recommendations that were made to schools. They are in fact recommendations. We have had the opportunity to take a look at those. They are broken down by state level, district level, and building level. And we've outlined some of the things that we've done in the district, but we also, having upgraded the walkie-talkies, that was one of the recommendations, and we have issued those walkie-talkies that the Pierce trustees granted us funding for, and so our communication has improved tremendously throughout our buildings. We also have had the opportunity to partner with Ocean Spray, and they are, we're actually getting ready to receive craisins and juice for those Go Kits, and that's a really big opportunity for us for partnership in the community, but also for the students who may have medical issues, may need something to eat if we were in a lockdown situation for an extended period of time. And this fall, we are conducting those safety trainings, which are similar to what we conducted at Reed's Academy in our own schools. So we started last week at Nichols Middle School, and we are continuing this week at Middleborough High School, and October 23rd will be the elementary level training of school safety with, again, the most updated research-based protocols.
Our goals for this year are many. However, we feel very strongly that we're well on the way on making great gains in this. We're just going to distribute the MPS safety and security flip chart once all the schools have been trained in our new training. We have been partnering with MPD and MFD in following their best practices on labeling windows, wings, and entrances for easier access and better communication between the three of us. And we've also set forth in motion plans to have a parent community school safety and security forum, so this will be the second one that we'll hold. The final phase of camera installation throughout the district, and a huge thank you to you, the board, for supporting us through the budgetary means, and also acquiring more safety protocol supplies for our Go Kits, and providing NIMS training for at least one administrator per building as the governor's report requests or recommends.
What does NIMS stand for?
Pop quiz.
We have it.
National Incident Management?
It is, thank you. National Incident Management System. And they actually have a couple of different courses. They recommend, they offer them online, and they recommend the initial emergency response course, and then there's one that is specific for schools. So in the governor's task force recommendations, NIMS training is included, and to build some capacity within those buildings. So should there be an emergency, you would have not just the administrators who would be trained, you'd have a team of teachers and support staff to help kind of manage the situation. So we haven't gone really deeply into that. That was a bit of a new recommendation for us, and but it was really intriguing as we were prepping for this, and something that we'd like to pursue further.
And some positives for that would be it is 3 hours, not so positive, but it's 3 hours and it's online and it appears to be free. So we should be able to get that done in short order.
So with this report, as I mentioned, the report is a model for school safety. These are recommendations, they are not mandates by any means, and they recognize, and we're very explicit about the fact that this is going to take some time. Although I will tell you, as we were looking through it and worked with Dr. Weiss, we are looking at really being in a good spot in terms of those recommendations, and have already made progress and are continuing that progress with our goals for this year.
As you can see, we mentioned before that there are state and district and then school level recommendations, and here is just a short report in very quick terms, 1 through 6 of the day. They offer 6 recommendations for school level, and we already have in place 4 out of those 6, and we're well on our way to attaining number 3 and number 6. Number 6, actually, school safety plan ensuring students with IEPs have an individual safety plan, is something that never even occurred to us. And so that's a fantastic recommendation from the governor's task force, and those conversations can now begin at the table with our students, with our staff, and with our parents on how to best service all students in case of emergency.
So what you see is we have tried to open the lines of communication in terms of our community and the work that we're doing with school safety. And we have a Padlet site. It's a website that would give you some of the information that we are sharing through the Community Advisory Council, the work that we've done with Community Advisory Council. In addition, the Middleborough Public Schools website has school safety information. You could access our episode from June 4th, 2013 of Borough Talk, where we talked all about school safety. We actually did 2 takes of that. Only one will be up there. The first one didn't have any sound. And there's also a link for the District Emergency Response Team on our Middleborough Public Schools website. And we are looking at having another Community Advisory Council meeting on October 8th, and that's in the Middleborough High School Library. 5:30 to 6:30. We welcome anyone who might want to be a part of our team. They can contact us via email, either Andy Dizell or myself, Liz Haskell, or you can give us a call at Middleborough High School.
And lastly, just really a thank you to all of our support, and I think that they should be put on a pedestal and thanked publicly. I mentioned before many times Kerry McCollum. Peter Fontaine was the gentleman from American Medical Response, Ocean Spray, of course, the Pierce trustees, the town of Middleborough Board of Selectmen. Chief Perkins, it was actually really neat. Chief Perkins was able to attend our very first training this year, and he was very excited to be on board and work collaboratively with us. So we're very excited about that relationship. And also, I mentioned earlier a network. We really do have a network of friends and of partners in school safety. Obviously, to our west, we have Ryan Maltese, who's the SRO at Apponequet High School and the Freetown Lakeville Police Department. Wareham PD, I mentioned before, Patricia Fry, the principal at Plymouth South, and all those towns that we've listed below, and then some, but these are our closest partnerships. Representatives from Canton and Brockton were the ones to ultimately train us in North Andover, where we experienced a 2-day intensive training, which was an amazing experience. And those local communities have been very, very good about inviting us to their drills and their forums, and we have returned that favor, and they're able to come to our buildings and help us train. And every time we do it, it makes us better. We always pick up something new, something different, something better, and that'll just benefit all the students in this area. So we're very pleased to bring these people to your attention, and we thank them for their help.
Anybody have any questions?
Have you had any tabletop exercises yet, where you've practiced some drills without getting the whole school involved, but all of your command structure involved, so you could see how things are going to work or how things aren't going to work?
Yes, sir. We had our first staff training, and that occurred on the 11th of September. Obviously, the day and the gravity of that day was not lost on us. However, as every group does, we find ourselves, strapped for time. So we had an opportunity, we exercised that opportunity. And we were able to take just shy of 3 hours and really just have the Nichols Middle School staff in the auditorium doing hands-on drills inside the classrooms. They're very active and very pointed, and we feel it was a great success. And we're going to build on the things that we certainly could improve upon, of which there certainly are some points. But we're very excited to bring the next training to Middleborough High School this Thursday. We have practiced the old version of school safety protocol, as the PowerPoint indicated, at one point during our first year, and then twice, one announced and one unannounced in our second year. So we've practiced really where we have been, but we're now just starting to get the staff to where we're going.
We also worked with the school committee and had presented our plan to the school committee back in 2013 when we had gotten the ball rolling and had been going to these trainings. And they have been very supportive of us and the work that we're doing. And we're really working toward educating our faculty and staff in terms of the most updated safety protocols, and to give them choices that will really, again, enhance that opportunity to make decisions in an emergency situation, because you can never predict. Even with our flip chart, we did the best that we could and put as many options as we could for a variety of emergencies, but you can never predict things that will come up. We're going to do the best that we can to prepare, no matter what the emergency, to keep our faculty, staff, and students safe.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Hi. I'm very impressed that you've got a lot of stakeholders coming to the table and working with you. It seems like you've got the right people supporting you. My question is, do you have someone who's looking at funding and grant opportunities for the costs of some of this, like the blinds and signage and things like that?
We're aware of some federal grants, FEMA, for instance, and our new superintendent of buildings and grounds, James Hardin, is going to spearhead the movement to really move us in the right direction in regard to seeking out the funds and seeking really what we need to propel us to the next step. As we've indicated, I think that we've done very, very well without a great amount of funding.
Right.
However, obviously, we're always looking to ascend to that next level by any means necessary.
Right.
So we are constantly looking for those, those pockets to grab some funds and keep going.
Yeah, I'm sure there is money out there.
Yes.
It's just locating it and then pursuing it.
Right.
And I think it would be well worth your time to have one member kind of look into that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can you keep us updated when you finish all of this, especially when you finish the protocols for kids with IEPs? Sort of concerning that that's not done yet, and those are probably the kids that need the most help in an emergency situation, so.
I believe, and yes, we will, absolutely. I did misspeak. It dawned on us, of course, to have all stakeholders and all students and all staff be comfortable with the training and be trained appropriately. The step that didn't really click for me personally was having the meetings and having that chat at the meetings where IEPs are discussed and things like that. But we have accounted for all learners and all students in all of our buildings.
I'd just like to thank you for all your efforts. Training like this is National Preparedness Month as well. The Health Department has been promoting that. Training and a plan like this is something that you hope you don't have to use, but if the occasion arises that there's an emergency, you're really glad you had this plan in place. So we recognize the importance of it, and if you need anything else from us, please come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you very much, too, for all the work that you've done. If you ever need anything from this board, just ask. If you let us know when your meetings are or any announcements you want to get out to the public, send it to us, and we'll make sure we announce it at the meetings. If you'd like a liaison for the Board of Selectmen, I certainly volunteer. I'll be at your October 8th meeting.
That'd be great.
I don't think there's anything more important than keeping our kids safe in this town, and I'll do everything in my power to help you with that.
Thank you very much.
What time is your October 8th meeting?
5:30 to 6:30.
5:30 to 6:30.
The high school library. Mr. McKinnon's an untapped resource as well.
Yes.
He works in the security field. And I think he has very deep pockets.
Yeah, they've been picked.
Shocker there.
Your kids don't live at home anymore, right?
Doesn't
So yeah,
mean that-
again, if there's anything at all that we can do to help, let us know.
We will.
Thank you.
very much.
All right. 8 p.m., we're going to have a joint meeting with the CPA committee to make CPA reappointments as presented.
Meeting? All right. Finally, we're getting progressive in this town.
I think you made that
A group? Is that what you mean, group meeting?
joint.
We need a roll call.
Roll call by the board and roll call by the sportsman.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we have a roll call for each board.
Second.
Did they get to vote on that too?
Appointments and then,
Oh,
and then we'll
motion.
vote on the group.
Okay, a motion on the appointments that it's a roll call vote.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on a roll call vote for all the appointments for both boards. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously on this board. Did they vote? Did you guys started your meeting, all that stuff?
Pardon? No.
Would you like to?
We'll
Since
call
we're in-
the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee to order. Does somebody want to make a motion as to whether we should vote by roll call? Is there a second? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. So are we going to take all three appointments together? We have, and somebody want to list them? Or-
We have Jane Lopes, the statutory member from the Historic Commission. We have Josephine Ruthowitz, statutory member from the Housing Authority. We have Janet Miller, a statutory member from the Conservation Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. McKinnon.
One what I was suggesting is now somebody can make a motion and second it to reappoint these people that you just named. And then we can do a roll call by this board and this.
Mr. Chair, I move to reappoint the names you just read
Second.
For a 3-year term?
for a 3-year term
To expire.
to expire on
June 30th.
June 30th, 2017.
17?
Yeah, we're in 14.
No.
By
Second.
roll call vote.
By roll call vote. McKinnon, yes.
Dalpe, yes.
Chair votes yes.
Yes.
There's no discussion on it?
Would you like discussion on it?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Jane, actually, you can probably answer this. I know these are statutory positions, so they have to come from certain committees. Were those individual committees, was there a discussion held to see if anybody else was interested in doing it, or?
No, actually, not on the Historical Commission.
So
They
that-
did.
On 2 there were.
2 out of 3 is not bad.
Okay, thank you.
All right. How would you like to vote?
I'll vote in favor.
Janet? You vote in favor, opposed? Kimberly? David?
Yes.
Mark? Mark?
Yes.
Joe? Yes. Peter?
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right, so by roll call vote, it's unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
That's it? You guys want to talk about anything? Tell us anything that's going on?
Well, we have 2 articles on the special town meeting warrant that are up next, if you want to discuss those now.
Sure.
Actually, Janet Miller, who's our vice chairman, and Joe Ruthwitz, our secretary, will discuss the first article, which is number 16, I think.
The first article is the Robbins Museum, and step 1 came before us and was approved in August. Step 2, we needed more information, which is why the warrant doesn't have any money attached to it, because they were asking us for $15,000, but we had questions about the windows and the siding. So they're going to come back to us on a special meeting we're having October 2nd, so that we can possibly get this ready by the town meeting, the special town meeting.
So we're asking you to vote the night of town meeting. We will give you our recommendation, the dollar amount. We'll have it on October 2nd, so we will give it to you before town meeting. And I know you don't have another meeting other than just before town meeting. So we are tentatively supporting it. That's why we asked them to make some changes.
Okay,
Well, Mr.
I
Chair.
guess we'll hold off on supporting or not supporting this
Right.
article.
Right, because we have to have a dollar value before we can actually support it, so.
Understand.
Do you want a little more information on what the project actually is?
Well, is it going to come above $15,000?
We don't know, but they're looking for building envelope repairs to stabilize, preserve the building. So it is appropriate under the CPA category of historic preservation in the purpose of rehabilitation and restoration. So it's mainly doors, siding, windows, gutters, that type of thing to make it weather tight. They have done some energy audits with the G&E, and this was the G&E's recommendation, and that's why they're asking for funding from us. The total project, when they did come to us, was $45,000, and they were asking for $15,000, but need to make sure that it complies with the Secretary of the Interior's standards. So the windows and doors have to be either repaired, that type of thing. We're not putting in vinyl windows. So we don't know the exact cost
Yeah,
right now.
because those are really energy efficient. All right, so, yeah,
They are.
we'll hold off on that till we get a little more information.
You all set with that one?
Sure.
Okay. Number 17 is an article, another Community Preservation Act funding article requesting a total of $225,000 toward the purchase of the Oliver Estate. And Leilani can tell you a great deal more about this project, but basically the Community Preservation Committee has voted to recommend favorable action on this article, which would fund the open space portion of the project. The property is, of course, the Oliver House, which is an 18th century building, but it also involves land around the house. And the CPA money would pay for this land, which has frontage on the Nemasket River, has the potential, all kinds of potential as open space, and the request is coming under that category. So I think Leilani can say more about this.
Sure. It's approximately 56 acres, the entire property, and about 46 acres of it is just land that's going to be used for open space. We're working with other partners for that part of the land, one of which is the Wildlands Trust, who is going to manage that open space property and hold a conservation restriction on it. They are just asking for a clear delineation of the acreage that separates it from the house, so we do not have to do any specific or official lot subdivision there, which is nice because it makes it just one deed that will be transferred to us. For the remainder of the funding, we are being vetted very, very closely by the Cultural Facilities Fund. They're coming down sometime in the next 2 weeks when they can schedule it, because they have 4 of their top decision makers that they have to schedule to come and see us, and we will be asking for matching funds to complete the purchase from the Cultural Facilities Fund. And in addition to the purchase, I've been working with the grant writer that the CPC has, and we decided there was some extra funding in there that we could get through the Cultural Facilities Fund to pay Historic New England for an historic preservation restriction on the house itself. The house itself is in actually pristine condition for being 240 years old. Most everything on it is original. It has been kept up, and in the 20th century, obviously heating, electricity was added, but it was added very sensitively to keep the character of the historic building. I've also been working with several organizations, including the Nature Conservancy and a local cranberry company, for putting a cranberry museum. I'm just in the early talks in the barn there. My hope is that this whole area will be a complex that will attract tourism and customers to the town of Middleborough. We already proved with the Herring Festival last year that that area with the Oliver Mill right across the street is quite a draw for people, and with the open space and the forestry section, we want to have, the Wildlands Trust wants to put hiking trails in there, canoe access possibly to the Nemasket River. There's over a quarter mile of river frontage there, and then we would have, hopefully, eventually, the house. We're looking at a couple organizations who want to go in there and hold their office space there, but in the meantime, we would also have that as a house museum designation eventually and be a major attraction to the town. I just wanted to emphasize, because a lot of people have asked me about this in town, and the Community Preservation Committee's funds are a specific fund that's put for specific things you have to spend it on. For instance, we can't go and put new windows in the school with it, or we can't buy a snowplow for the DPW with it. It has to go for open space, historic restoration, or affordable housing, is that?
Recreation.
Yeah, okay. Recreation. Okay, so this money has been set aside for this. So in essence, this purchase would not be taking from any other part of the town that needs things done, that whether it's a capital plan or whether it's, we could use another police officer, or we could use this money cannot be used for that. This money is being used exactly what it is meant to be used for. And as I said, it's my hope, we're making great strides with the tourism committee. We're way ahead of our schedule with our business plan. It's my hope that it's going to be an attraction and grow business in town. So I just wanted to make that clear. Any questions?
I think there are a couple other points that are important from the perspective of the community preservation money. One is that, is to just make it clear what Leilani's saying, is that this money, this appropriation, would be contingent upon the money coming through from these other funding sources to pay for the rest of the project. And the other thing that's important to say is that this will be, if we go ahead with this purchase, there'll be an RFP that goes out, and there will be a plan developed for the use of this property, and it should, hopefully, there will be no cost to the town ever, because this will bring in enough revenue and grant money and et cetera to support itself the way the Soul Homestead does.
Absolutely. Working with the grant writer, I already have, simultaneously with the Cultural Facilities Fund, should the purchase go through, several sources for about $150,000 initially that will be put right back into the house from other sources. It will not cost the town, and in fact, it will increase business in the town. Something we're all on board about. And if you should read up on it, it really, when I first moved here and I heard that our historic buildings are in Maine and Michigan, this building can't be sent away. This belongs to Middleborough. Middleborough has these things. We have the capabilities of marketing them now. We need to start using them.
Anyone have any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. McKinnon?
How much money do you have guaranteed right now against what's the cost of the purchase? So, and then third piece is, what's the piece that's hanging out? How much money is hanging out there that hasn't been guaranteed
Okay,
yet?
not counting the CPC, we're looking at about half that will be actually awarded in January from the Cultural Facilities Fund. And I might add, if that does not come in, this all goes away. We are not going to cost the town a dime. It's really a no risk for the town. And if we don't try it, I personally could never forgive myself.
Where is all the money going to come from that's going to have to be used to do whatever, to create these museums, to upgrade the property? Where is that money?
National Endowment for the Arts has a fund, which I've applied to. The Historic Commission in Massachusetts has a fund, which I've applied to. And they're matching funds. One is federal, one is state, so they can match each other. Is everything guaranteed? No. Do we have a really good chance because this is historically significant to the country, not just the area? Yes, we do have a very good chance.
How is it? Well, one of the things that concerns me is when we label it historic. I had some windows put in my house. It cost quite a bit of money for me. But when you label it historic, all of a sudden, as you're going to find out, I'm sure, when you go over to the Robbins Museum, well, everything changes. It gets much more costly.
Okay.
And that's going to be...
Well, let me answer your
first.
Yeah, let me answer your first question. How is it historic to the entire country? It is where this country was born. It was originally owned by the first English governor in the country, in Massachusetts. The revolutionaries, us, all of these American citizens, our ancestors, there was a coup. They threw him out.
They burned his house down.
No, someone else's house of the same family, but they did not burn this one down in 1769 when it was built. They did not burn this one down. What they did do was they seized every stick of furniture, anything that was in that house, and we actually have a recollection of that in Washington. So we have an inventory of it. So it is incredibly important to this country's history. So that was the first question. The second question, the house has been maintained and is in such shape that we can afford to wait until each funding comes in before we take each step. Is it going to happen overnight? No. It's already happening faster than any of us would have thought. I can guarantee you that it is not going to put a drain, and it is not going to go away or deteriorate before we get the funding to move forward on these things. It is in such a shape as that. And before we've even put out for a bid on this to come in as, to do whatever, with the land, to use the house, to come in as a tenant, we've been inundated with people that have plans and proposals on what they want to do. Even the Parks Department has said there's no problem for them mowing the lawns going over there from Oliver Park. They will take care of that for the outside. We're looking into Plymouth, Bristol County to do the gardens. It has 18th century gardens there.
Landscaping is one thing, but
Well, it's an important
physical
part.
structure repairs on a historic structure,
Are not cheap.
yes.
Oh, I know.
And that's what concerns me. When we own that, when things happen, as they will, who's going to...
We had 140,
If
yep.
all this money dries up, who's stuck with it?
We had a 146-page study done on this before we even got in, and they did, pages and pages of that were what would have to be done over 5, 10 years, whatever, what it would cost us. And also, a real evaluation of the shape of the property was done. And it was determined that we could open, the next day after purchasing it, we could open the doors and rent it as residence or an office space, which is income to keep it going. And that major repairs would not have to be done until we got the funding for it. It's a gamble in that sense, absolutely, because we have to go out and find funding for it so that it does not cost the town. Do I think I think the chances of us getting that funding on such a significant property are pretty good. Coupled with the open space, the recreation, the organizations that have already signed on.
Anyone else have any other questions? I have a couple. So we don't need a tax override for this?
No.
No,
All right. How about debt exclusion?
no,
No? All right. None of this money's coming out of the general fund?
no.
And it's all going to be funded through matching grants and,
Yes.
all right. And it's an old Tory building?
Yes, it is.
Didn't they burn most
You
of those down?
you should come and see it. I invited the Board of Selectmen to see it. There's actually a hidden staircase where the Tories hid from the revolutionaries in cubby holes in the foundation. It's very, very interesting.
But they burned a whole bunch of those to the ground.
They
right?
did, not this one.
So that
It was
makes this one
actually-
extra rare?
It was built by Judge Oliver, who had his mill at where Oliver Mill is. And his mansion was up on the hill behind behind Oliver Mill. It was burned to the ground. He built this house, had this house built for his son, who was married to the daughter of the colonial governor. And for whatever reason, I think the family had already left by the time,
Pitchforks and
you know,
torches.
yeah, I guess they had enough fun at the mansion and
Yeah,
left
they
us.
fled to Boston, Nova Scotia, and then back to England. And actually, the original, descendants of the original family repurchased the property in the 1930s.
And maintained it.
And have maintained
Yes.
it. It's...
And it's in pretty good, it's really in pretty
The
good condition.
structural report came back that it is just as strong and meets all the criteria and codes of a building that would be built today, brand new.
Good bones, those old buildings.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Knowlton?
I actually went up and had the opportunity to go and tour it with Leilani. It's a beautiful building, and it's worth preserving. And I think if this funding can work out, this is a great opportunity for the town.
I think you can compare this with the Soul Homestead, which the town has owned for the last 24 years. And the Soul Homestead has never cost the taxpayers of Middleborough anything. It's been, the homestead actually pays the equivalent of property taxes on the land, the homestead land, as well as a little piece of land adjoining in Plimpton. And the Soul Homestead financially supports that, is required to financially support that property, and the same thing could happen with this.
And I had a great time at the Soul Homestead just this weekend. All right, anybody else have any other questions, comments about this? Would the board like to, I'd entertain a motion to support this article?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Opposed?
Opposed.
All right, thanks. 4 in favor, 1 against. All right, article number 8. Town Hall Annex Roof Repair. Hey, Mr. Morris.
Hi. Good evening. Steve Morris, Capital Planning Committee. The next 3 articles are from the Capital Planning Committee. The first one is to finish up the Town Hall Annex roof repairs. This was started in 2013. The town appropriated at the town meeting $22,848 for the project, which was later, a grant was received later for $22,152, a preservation grant. And now that the project is ready to go out, it's a little bit short, and we've added some, not snow guards, but they're snow cleats to stop the snow from falling off that roof onto the sidewalk, which has been a problem in the past. So that increases the cost of the project. Probably not the whole $5,000. There's a contingency built into that, so we're asking for $5,000 at this town meeting to get this project out and done, and there should be a little bit money left, hopefully, to return back to the town.
Anybody have any comments, questions?
Okay.
No?
Caroline is working on that project. If you have any, if you
Should we,
have,
It's $5,000 you're looking for?
yes.
should we vote on these individually or all together?
Individually.
All right, I'd entertain a motion
Motion,
moved.
okay, second.
to support?
To support, yes, I'm sorry, to support, I'm sorry.
I never know with you now.
Well, no, come on, don't get crazy on me.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to support article number 8.
For $5,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Article number 9.
Article number 9 is just for 2 minivans. On your agenda, it talks about the intercom systems. Those were funded at the last town meeting, I believe for about $60,000, and we added that in at the elementary complex. Remember, we talked about not being able to broadcast, shut down to everyone, so that's being done. The capital planning is recommending 2 minibuses for the school department that were put off from the annual town meeting until the fall, till this coming fall town meeting, and those are at $60,000 each, replacing a 2003 and a 2006 minivans.
All right, anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, are those new vans, or are they used, or?
New, I believe, yes.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to support Article 8 for the two minibuses for minibus vans for $120,000.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Article 10.
Article 10 is another article that we had put off from the annual town meeting until this fall town meeting, and this is to purchase computer equipment for town departments. You'll see a list of some of the items: servers, monitors, printers, computers, hardware and software. This is for the town side of the computers. In the annual town meeting, we did some computers for the schools that we do each year for the students. The computers in the school, the software and the hardware. And if you have any specific questions on this, Charlie is more versed in this than I am, so if you have any. And this total is $137,482.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yep.
When do you anticipate this equipment being installed?
Usually over the first 6 months, after the mine's down.
Who will be installing it? The IT department?
Our IT staff.
Okay. Because I know we've gotten stuff in the past that never got installed. I just want to make sure we have a plan for that.
That was under a different...
Different regime, I know. Okay, just making sure. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a follow-up to Charlie. I assume that the equipment that's being replaced will find its way to other homes?
What they can reuse and repurpose they do, and what, is just over the surplus and get what we can for.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, will this bring the town departments up to date, all of them, or is this sort of over a couple of years?
Yeah, they'll be asking, there'll be more requests. In fact, the request was much larger than this. This has been pared down, so expect more requests. That doesn't mean we're going to recommend them, but I'm sure we'll be recommending something. Just like on the school side, that is a continuing effort to keep things updated. I don't think it's ever going to end.
Well, we're making up for a lot of lost
Yeah,
time, too.
and just that the nature of the beast, when you come to computer equipment, it just has a life expectancy, and you have to keep update it. So it doesn't last 20 years like, well, I was going to say like a refrigerator, but neither does a refrigerator so anymore.
I know, I had the same conversation at home. I'm like, what do you mean we need a new computer? This is only 7 years old.
Only? Yeah.
They don't support Windows 68 anymore, do they?
It's not. I'll say this. When anyone comes before the capital planning committee, they have to explain everything to us, and we really put them through the ringer. And if you don't believe us, stop by a meeting sometime and see what happens when they come in and they ask for $100,000, and we nickel and dime them down to about $5,000, and they walk away thankful they got that, because we really do. We really put them through the ringer. It's kind of a fun committee to be on. So, I'd entertain a motion to support.
Motion to support Article 10 to the tune of $137,482.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, Article 11. Mr. Peck.
Good evening. Here to reintroduce the proposal to switch the town trash system over to an automated system. I was before you in the spring with 3 different size carts. We are moving forward with essentially the same plan where we would keep the same financial structure in place. There wouldn't be an additional cost to the people that are on the quarterly system. The people that are on, we do have 2 systems in town, a quarterly system and a sticker system. The quarterly system, essentially those residents or customers would be given a 96-gallon recycling container and a 64-gallon trash container. Recycling would be picked up bi-weekly. This system would require us to buy 4 new automated vehicles. These would be diesel vehicles. We've essentially test drove 5 different vehicles and have made kind of a decision on what we want. If it passes town meeting, then we would at that point advertise to purchase the vehicles. The carts themselves will be purchased off the state bid list, as well as the bags. For those people currently on the sticker system, we will be switching to a bag system. The reason for the bags is so that when the trucks pick up the containers, the employee will be, or the operator will be able to see that there's actually bags in that container. People on the sticker, or excuse me, the bag program will be given a 32-gallon container. The reason for this is so that the operator can see right on the street that this is a sticker bag customer, excuse me, and he knows to look for them. Also, if you're on the bag system, you're should be putting out less trash, because if you put out more than 3 to 4 bags a week, then you're not saving money at that point. You might as well go to the quarterly system. So the other thing we've been looking at, and we're going to be having discussions with Waste Management hopefully this week, is for, in the instance that, say someone has a party on a weekend, or there's a graduation or something like that, and you know you're not going to be able to get all that trash into that one 64-gallon container. We're going to try and provide an overflow container at the transfer station. And the way that would work is you'd have the opportunity to go down to the DPW, buy bags, and then you'd be able to take your trash up there just for the cost of those bags that you purchased. Trying to think. There's a lot of logistics that have to go into this. We're going to have to visit every common stop, figure out how we're going to handle each one, and we'll be doing that through the winter, spring months. Our time frame on this, if it passes town meeting, is to order the trucks in October. Those would probably be delivered in early to mid-spring. Containers would be probably delivered to the town in March for an April delivery, with the hopes of implementing the system May 1st.
So this is the truck that reaches out with a big hand, throws it.
Yep, they have a 12-foot reach, so it can go down the lane and be able to get by parked cars and snowbanks and whatever it might have to do. It's about an 8 to 10 second, or 8 to 16 second cycle for it to grab it, dump it, and put it back down.
My son is going to love watching this in the morning. He loves watching the trash anyway, but to see that. I got stuck behind an ABC disposal truck with the arm today, and I was watching it, and he was doing it so quickly that I didn't have time to scoot around him before he was off to the next one. So I've been paying attention to this, and I was pretty impressed with that today.
Yep. I mean, there was going to be a learning curve, obviously, for us for the first few weeks. What our plan is to send two employees out in front of the truck, just checking to make sure that these carts are laid out properly, and then we'll tag those carts that aren't. We'll pick them up, but we're going to let the residents know. We're also going to be sending out a lot of literature this winter and spring, prepping everybody to know exactly what needs to be done, what the changes to them will be, and again, we're going to be upgrading our website so that a lot of the answers will be there. And feel free to call too. I'll answer as many questions as I can.
How much do the trash cans cost?
To the residents, there is no cost to the residents.
Are you going to give every resident, every household, a free trash can?
Yes, that's going to be part of their quarterly fee. Yes. If they feel that they need a second cart, then there will be an additional fee for that. But we're asking people to try and give it 90 days, shall we say. See if you can get by with one. We're hoping that this is going to increase recycling tremendously. And when you increase recycling, it cuts down on the amount of trash that we have to dispose of at CMAS, which costs us $25 a ton. In 2016, we are switching from CMAS back to Waste Management. Our tipping fee is still $25 a ton, but we still want to be able to, the less trash we put there, hopefully the longer we can use that landfill, shall we say.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just a couple questions. So the recycling, the 96-gallon, that's going to be all recycled?
That is,
right?
yes.
Papers, cans, everything together?
Yep, that's a great point. We are going to be switching to single stream when we go to this system.
Okay, and you get one recycling bin and one trash bin regardless of family size?
Yes.
Okay, and one more quick question. I was reading a lot of this, and it says, and you put it back on the curb, and it does all this stuff, and we're very rural. I mean, we don't have clearly defined curbs, even ground, that kind of thing. Has this been tested in those kinds of areas?
Absolutely. It's used, and I live in Rochester. It's going to be implemented January 1st. If it can work there, it'll work here. A lot of towns are using it. Bridgewater uses it. They're not picking up their own trash, but they have contractors in town. Lakeville, same thing. ABC is picking up in Lakeville.
And they're not having any issues with the rural roads, kind of?
It's all about where the resident places the bin. If he or she puts it at the end of the driveway, it will not be an issue. All the instructions are going to be right on the top of the cart, clearly labeled.
And they have big wheels, they're super sturdy. I mean, As far as trash cans go, these are pretty nice trash cans.
Yeah. And they have a 10-year warranty. We've been floating around some colors. Charlie, I don't know if you want to talk about the colors or no? Well,
Good question
Do they
about
match
the warranty.
street signs?
No, they're not matching the street
Right.
signs.
If I may, about the warranty, so when they wear out in 10 years, whose responsibility will it be to replace them?
Well, they're owned by the town, so it would
So
be ours.
town,
Yeah. Also, a large part of this program is we are working with DEP. We've applied for several grants, and Janine Delaney from DEP's here. Maybe, do you want to give some information on what we're expected to get for grant money?
Janine Delaney, Mass DEP, as Chris introduced me. All right, so from what I understand from our last meeting, we have 5,000, we're estimating about 5,000 households that are currently using the quarterly billing. So for those customers, DEP will award $10 per cart for the recycled cart. Okay, for customers that go with the bag program, now will the town still be providing a 35-gallon trash cart for those customers? There's an estimate of about 700 to 1,000 customers that go with the tag program. So if we stick with those same numbers, DEP will issue the town $20 per cart for those customers. For trash carts, the 64-gallon trash cart, there will be no funding available. For customers that go with the bag program and the 35-gallon trash cart, DEP will issue $15 per cart. And for all recycled carts, $1 per cart for an in-mold label. As Chris alluded to, directions or instructions will be placed on the cart, and that's what an in-mold label entails. Giving instruction to the residents as to what can go in that cart. Any other numbers you may have, bulky waste collection, maybe the address of your transfer station, that type of thing, whatever you design. And I've provided Chris with some sample outreach materials for residents for both the in-cart label and for mailings that you may want to send, that you should actually send throughout the winter and fall, winter, and spring, letting the customers know, or the residents know what's happening. So for a total grant amount, and depending on what customers or what residents go with for what program, between $80,000 and $91,000. And I'm actually also available for technical assistance to assist the town with development of outreach material, attend meetings, any other types of meetings you may have to educate the public. Council on Aging meetings, public forums, whatever you might do, whatever you decide to do. Any questions?
No. I do have one question relative to getting the information out there. Maybe we can talk to the G&E about putting an additional flyer in their mailing, because everybody gets a bill, or practically everybody gets a bill.
Yeah, that's the way a lot of towns do it,
Yeah.
bill inserts, dedicated mailings.
Right. That way
Yeah.
we can get it more frequently. We can get the word out there, because you know somebody's going to come up and say, I didn't know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Not much we can do about that, but we'll try.
And I work with 31 municipalities on their trash and recycling programs, and Braintree and Weymouth just went to carts last year. Plymouth went to carts in January, and I have a lot of familiarity and lots of material I can provide to Middleborough.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I have one more quick question.
Sure.
So you said customers, if they wanted to or chose to, could purchase additional carts?
That is correct. I mean, we'd like people to try and get by with the 64
Right.
gallons. Of course, there's going to be those situations where they might
Yeah,
not be able to.
I understand that. So do you have a price on what that would be for people?
I think we're floating, around $100 a year for the additional cart.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Just to go a little bit more into the carts, these things are going to have what they call an RFID tag in the carts. That way the truck, when it picks it up, it knows it's supposed to be at that house. If that cart, for some reason, say it's stolen and ends up on the other side of town, the truck will we'll find it if it's put out to the curb. So, any other questions?
Chairman, and this is going to greatly reduce the possibility of injuries for our employees, right?
Yeah, that is a great point. That is a big driver of this program. There will not be anybody in the back of the truck. This is all joystick controlled. There's 5 cameras mounted on the truck. You can look right over, see it. Cameras back, forth, top. So if the program goes correct, he will not have to get out of that truck.
And so you're going to purchase 4 trucks?
Yes.
The plan? And are those dedicated to trash or to recycling, or they're interchangeable?
Interchangeable. All 4 will be identical. And if a truck goes out on recycling versus trash, we'll just have a magnet to throw over the side.
And for the people that are on the bag system, or that will be on the bag system, how do you enforce that if the bags are in a covered cart? How do you know that they're purchasing town bags?
Well, that's one of the cameras will be able to pick that up as we dump it. Obviously, we're not going to jump into the truck and pull out what went in, but we'll have to tag that and look next time to see if that issue's still there the following week.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair? Chris, there's a ballot question coming up in November about expanding an expanded bottle bill.
Correct. Yep.
Which, if it passes, seems like it could greatly reduce the amount of single-stream recycling that we're going to experience. Is that going to affect our plan in any way if that happens?
It won't, because Waste Management handles our recycling, so we don't see any dividends from the recycling, other than cutting down on our trash. It's just going to be a third party that would be pulling that out.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair? Chris, I'm really happy if we can pull this together. This would be great.
We'll make it happen.
I've worried
We'll make it happen.
a lot about the guys on the back of the truck. In the wintertime, slip, fall, terrible things have happened to the troops. So I'm very happy if this can work out. I guess I'm just concerned more, there's only a few areas in town that have them, but you've got those little areas where there's 25 barrels right now of various sizes and types stuck along the head of a street that goes into a little development, shall we say. How are people going to maneuver these barrels around? That's probably their problem.
Well, we'll work with them, and if they feel they can't handle the 64, then we'll have to, again, we're asking people to go that 90 days. We'll look at giving them a 32 if it's not working, but we just don't want the masses coming in saying it doesn't work. Give it 90 days, see if it works, and, for a lot of those, private ways that are bringing them up to the top of the road, we're going to see if we can come to some sort of agreement with the homeowners association where we can have all the residents bring them out to one side of the street, and then we can just back down that street, grab them, and come back out.
Now, one other question. When we get all these barrels, there's going to have to be a transfer. Like I've got 2 plastic totes that I use for the recycles right now. So naturally, they're going to go away. But where are they going to go?
Laundry baskets.
Huh?
Laundry baskets.
You can recycle them.
Yeah, you can recycle them, yes.
Yeah, they're going to go in the recycling bin. It's going to fill up the recycle bin pretty quick.
Yeah.
But now, how are the barrels going to get delivered? Are you going to deliver the barrels to the houses?
The company we're purchasing them from handles the delivery.
Okay.
So all 13,000 containers will show up at our DPW facility on Wareham Street. They will assemble them, and then they will disperse them, because they have to code them all to the address and homeowner.
Oh, so they're doing all the RFID work and assembling the barrels as necessary, and
yes,
and that's all part of their cost.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Well, actually, there's an additional cost for that, and, in the attachment I gave you, along with my memo, it spells out, what we're going to, finance through the borrowing, what we're going to pay from the enterprise fund. So that's one of the costs that we're going to pay for out of the enterprise fund. It's a one-time cost. You don't want to borrow for something like that. Okay. So, in fact, I have to build into Article 1 an additional appropriation for funds from the enterprise fund to the trash budget to pay for some of the upfront costs.
Okay.
As to your question about the people dragging their trash barrels up, these are really like the nicest trash barrels you can get. I mean, I work in construction and we're dealing with trash barrels all the time, and these are the nicest trash barrels you can find. I'm serious. And they're, like, I'm not worried about my wife dragging the trash out to the curb. She still won't be able to do it, but if she,
That was
that's what
him.
she says, that's what she says.
That was him.
She can do it if she wants to.
You
But
don't like
seriously,
marriage, do you?
They're very easy, they have large wheels, it's pretty easy.
Want to speak to her before you leave tonight, okay? But don't forget, there's a lot of elderly who
I know, but these
who
are
have
the
it
easiest
difficult.
trash barrels to use.
Okay.
They really are. So, I don't think anybody's gonna complain about the trash barrels at all.
Write that down, too. Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
I don't think they'll have any reason to complain about them, but.
Okay, so what's the dollar value we're looking at on this?
Well, the article proposed is for $1,590,000. We're expecting roughly a $90,000 grant from the DEP, so it comes down to $1.5 million. You know, our financing cost is close to $200,000. You know, we cover that, you know, roughly between savings and manpower, savings and disposal cost, and then just capacity we have within the enterprise fund to pay for the entire amount. We are going to fund $75,000 in, you know, in terms of the cost of delivery, the recycling sticker, and the tags. And we can do that without having to charge the quarterly customers anything more. They're going to get, you know, 2 free carts and, you know, much better service for what they're paying now. The only thing I'm proposing is that because in addition, you know, the people in the sticker and now the bag program are also going to get 2 carts. They're going to get the 32-gallon cart. They'll still get a 96-gallon recycling cart. But we're also going to have to, you know, have them purchase bags, and those bags cost more than, you know, what the stickers cost right now. So I'm proposing a 25-cent increase on the 13-gallon bags, a 50-cent increase on the 33-gallon bag. So that'll cover the cost of that additional expense to run the bag sales. So, you know, we're, you know, able to do this. You know, we weren't sure in the spring, so we had to go back and find the numbers, analyze it a little bit more, but we can do this with the existing cost of the quarterly program. Small increase in the bags.
So for Article 11, we're looking at $1.5 million?
$1.5 million. I don't know exactly how the DEP reimbursement works, if we have to. So I'm suggesting we authorize the entire amount for $1,590,000, and then, you know, we won't have to borrow all that.
Hey, I know somebody that can probably answer that DEP question.
DEP grants are reimbursable grants. The money does have to be spent before receiving the money.
Okay, so then we have to appropriate $1 million.
That's why we're appropriating the whole amount.
Okay.
And rescinding some of that authorization in the future.
Okay.
And the other thing is that the trucks, our current trucks need to be replaced anyway, so this is the perfect time to make the switch. They're at the end of their useful life, and, you know, it's the right time to do it.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Brian Giovannoni, and as someone who's on the quarterly plan with 2 kids, my wife and myself, for a family of 4, my biggest concern is, right now, I can put unlimited at the curb, and they'll pick it up. And I usually put 2 bags out, which is, I guess, 65, 66 gallons, so it's kind of ironic. But I had a good conversation with a gentleman with 2 teenagers, his wife, and a preteen, 5, over in Plymouth, who just implemented in June, and I asked him, have you had any problems with this not being enough? It's a 65-gallon container. And he goes, no, but what I found was they recycle everything now because the container's right there. They take their old little container and they just dump it in. When it gets full, they dump it in. They just keep dumping it in. So what he finds is, and his 96-gallon recyclable was spilling over almost. It was so full. I was amazed at it. He said, just beware of the pizza box, because that's the one that will take up the most space in the 96-gallon bin. But I had talked to Chris briefly about my concerns, and then after talking to someone who's going through it right now, and he said, no problems with a family of 5 with teenagers who throw a lot of stuff. Well, they recycle a lot too, but there's a lot of stuff that gets tossed. So I was surprised, and at first I was concerned, and I just wanted to say that I've alleviated my worries, being as a family of four, that the 65 seems like 64 is going to be plenty for those. May not be for the people who put 16 bags a week out. Oh well. They shouldn't have been in our program anyway. They should probably have been in a commercial program, and I see it out there. But this program, I think, is going to be awesome for this town. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And then entertain a motion to, yes.
No.
The town manager mentioned manpower savings. What does that mean? Are we laying people off, or
Well,
what's happening?
We'll have 2 additional employees that are currently paid for out of trash that we won't be able to pay for out of trash anymore. So but that's not going to come for a couple of years. We won't pay the debt off right away. We'll short-term borrow. So at that point in time, that'll be a decision for the town, what happens to those employees. But we'll only need, 2 on trash, and that's how the program works.
You okay with that? So we're not laying anyone off now, and we can have that conversation in a few years. Sound about right?
That's right.
All right.
I can see those people being brought right into DPW.
Yeah.
There's always, every year there's an advertisement going out for DPW troops.
I could tell you, we don't want to lose them. If we can, move them over to highway.
Right.
Absolutely, we need them. We need them. So if we can make that work in the future, absolutely. I encourage that 100%.
Sure, that can work out. I'm sure that can be worked out. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, could we take Article 22 out of turn? I see Ms. Cassidy in the back, and there's no reason to keep her sitting here while we discuss articles. There's nobody else here who's going to be discussing those previous articles, if that's okay.
Thank you.
I'm a little disappointed you don't want to stick around for all this.
Oh, well, I stuck around for the recycling. That was important to me.
All right, Article
And the
22,
CPA.
Thompson Street.
Okay, so this is pretty self-explanatory. It is a property that the town has owned since 2008, and it was actually transferred to the care, custody, and control of the commission in the fall of 2008. But Dan Murray has told me that this is the construction of the article, so it's still going to say, vote to transfer the care, custody, management, and control of the property at the beginning. Just that the use, it's giving us the authority to lease the property, to put out an RFP to get that taken care of. We did have the neighbors stewarding the property in the past.
Is this the Gibbs property?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's also known as the Gibbs property. It's about 12 and a half acres. The Farringtons were taking care of it basically for free. They were haying it for us to maintain that field in the front. And unfortunately, Mrs. Farrington passed away a couple years ago. And so Mr. Farrington relinquished his care of it this past year. So I'm hoping to get this passed at town meeting so that we can get the RFP process done in the winter, and then we can have somebody start taking care of it in the spring when the growing season starts again. So if you have any questions?
So you're going to be looking to lease it to someone else to?
Right.
Hay.
Basically, it's haying, and I know that the Farringtons were interested in reestablishing the forestry management plan that used to be on the property under the Gibbs control for the back acreage. That's all forested.
Any other questions, comments? I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to support Article 22.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're back down to 19.
Mr. Chairman, I think we mentioned this when we referred this to the planning board for their recommendation. This is a technical fix to the WRPD bylaw. There was a phrase missing that we discovered when we were reviewing one of the WRPD permits or proposals this past year, and we realized that there was somewhere along the way, probably years back, the phrase was lost, and when we recodified a year or so ago, we didn't catch it. So, we've now caught it. We're just adding back in the language that should have been there, and probably was there at one point and then disappeared.
Is this going to impact anything if this language is out there and we've passed something in between?
It had a great bearing on the Cumberland Farms proposal down on 105, because the applicant was relying on his interpretation of the language that, that wasn't there, or the language that was there, but missing the language that wasn't there, to advance his theory of why they complied. Well, fortunately, we worked it out without that having become an issue. Because basically they redesigned and brought themselves into compliance with the bylaw fully.
He was relying on the language that wasn't there?
Well, he was relying on the language that was there, and without being able to, take into consideration what should have been there.
Okay.
So it was a problem because it made it appear like they could comply with that section of the bylaw when they really weren't in compliance. But we were in a tough spot because language was the language. And luckily there were other things about the proposal that didn't allow it to stay the way it was. They redesigned it, they brought it into compliance. So no, there's nothing out there where there's any, problems, with the current language, but, the sooner we fix it, the better, so that nobody comes in and says, wait, your bylaw says X. And, and I'm very confident the planning board recommendation will be in favor of this change.
Any other comments or questions? I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to recommend Article 19.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Article number 21.
Mr. Chairman, according to Chief Perkins, this was submitted by Chief Gates, but Chief Perkins explained this to me. From time to time, there arises situations where either our officers are in another jurisdiction or officers from another jurisdiction are here. And, because of rulings and interpretations, sometimes that can be problematic when they're trying to carry out their responsibilities. For example, you have a stop that carries over into another jurisdiction, and, are they allowed to continue or not? So this authorizes selectmen to enter into agreements that will solve that problem that occasionally happens. It basically says, enter into agreement with the Southeastern Mass Law Enforcement Council to increase the capability of the police department. And basically, it's to have a multi-jurisdictional agreement that takes care of those occasional jurisdictional problems that happen with officers operating in another community and those officers operating in our community.
So it's like a mutual aid agreement for the fire department, basically?
Very
So we can cross over town lines or even county lines. In our case, we might be in a police pursuit into Taunton.
Right, yeah.
And be in a different
That's
county.
probably a better way to characterize it,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Whoever wrote the article certainly wrote it in a very easy way to vote positive. Who's going to vote against that? So any other comments, questions?
Who else is a part of this? What other towns?
Well, South,
are-
I don't know the exact dimensions of this particular, a lot of these intermunicipal agreements, sometimes they follow county lines, sometimes they cross county lines. So I can certainly find out where the borders of the Southeastern Mass Law Enforcement Council is. I don't know offhand.
Is there one agreement that everyone signs? Do we
Generally,
sign-
that's what happens, yeah.
I think I would want to read the agreement before voting to.
Yeah, no,
recommend it.
and all this article is doing is to authorize you to sign an agreement. So then if town meeting authorizes you to do it, then you would, see the agreement and
We
see what
can't,
you...
we don't have to.
Yeah.
So the agreement would come before us anyway.
Hmm?
The agreement comes before us anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not authorizing
All
the
town
police
meeting is
department.
doing is authorizing you to enter into an agreement, and you would have to be, satisfied by the agreement, and otherwise, as Alan said, you don't have to enter into it.
Yeah, I hope there's at least 9 communities. We're bordered by 9 different communities.
My guess is it's bigger than that.
Yeah. I'm just always amazed that we share a border with 9 different
Yeah,
communities.
It's unique.
Okay, I would entertain a motion, Article 21.
Move to recommend Article 21.
Second.
Motion and second, any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Article 23.
Well, I realized that I was supposed to get counsel to answer a question about the state statute that deals with this and whether or not that's a problem, and I haven't done that. So I know we put this off until next week so I can consult counsel.
All right. All right, Article 1.
Okay, so Article 1, you have a memo from me with some recommendations and some background. And what we have with Article 1 is we fortunately saved even more money in our move to the Group Insurance Commission than we thought. 2/3 of our members, of our subscribers in our health plan, chose limited network HMOs as their health plans. And limited network HMOs, because they have a limited network of hospitals and doctors, are less expensive than traditional HMOs. So that ended up saving us another $600,000 this year. So for the most part, what I'm trying to do with that, however, is I'm trying to use that money as much as possible for one-time expenses, because we did have a large or substantial deficit heading into FY16. So we pretty set our budgets in the spring, and I'm primarily recommending that we use that money to pay for the healthcare reimbursements for the employees that we committed to in the PEC agreement. That now is up to $384,000. We put $80,000 of that away at the Springtown meeting. I'm recommending we appropriate the remainder of that $304,000 right now, because that means we pay that off all at once, and then that's a one-time expense that goes away, and the money that is available this year then also becomes available next year, and that helps reduce our deficit in the years to come. The other thing we're currently doing is we're in the middle of doing a bond issue, and that sale is going on this week. You'll be approving the bonds next week. And again, by paying off some debt, we not only reduce our operating budget, because we won't have that debt going forward, but again, it's a one-time expense. So, that money helps us out in next year and the years to come. The other thing, we had taken some actions to reduce our snow and ice budget last spring in order to help the school department out. We always knew we had to put that back, and that's going back, a combination of free cash and money from the health insurance account. And then we have, 2 initiatives that have long been something the selectmen have been interested in, but we haven't been able to get to them. I'm recommending that we appropriate $60,000 for, civilian dispatch in the police center. That will get us about the last quarter of the fiscal year, allow us to staff that up. Talk to Chief Perkins about it. He's got some ideas on how he best wants to do that. But it'll get that started, and then next fiscal year, in FY16, we'll be getting the first pilot payment from High Point, and that pilot payment was meant to allow us to start this civilian dispatch program so we can put officers back on the street and have better coverage in the town from our police officers. So we'll spend a little money this year, and then next year we'll spend some more money, but probably about half the program will be funded from that pilot from High Point. The second initiative is to hire another person, a lieutenant, in the fire department to staff the fire prevention office. That office is extremely busy. The chief spends a lot of his time on that. activity, and, we need the help there so that the chief can do all the other things chiefs need to do in fire departments. So, again, that'll fund about 7 months this year, and then, increase slightly next year. And the last initiative, again, because we were able to save some money, our reserve fund has been at $80,000 for the last couple of years. I'm recommending we put another $20,000 in there, so, we have a $100,000 reserve fund. And that'll help us when we have snow deficits, that we don't have to go scurrying around for money, and every other account will have a substantial amount in the reserve fund to help us fund snow deficits. So those are the main things. We also have to pay for the town manager search consultant, $8,000, that's coming from free cash. So, and no, I skipped over, we're also, in order to pay off some more debt, we have small amounts of money that was borrowed previously for other capital projects that the main way you use up that money, you just can't close it to the general fund. You have to use it for like projects. So one of the things you can do is you can pay off some debt. So there's about $44,000 in about 3, 6, 8 previous articles that we're going to take and pay off some of the other debt. So that's primarily and then on top of that, what's not here, what I intend to add is the $75,000 we just talked about for the startup of the recycling trash program for the delivery of the carts, the ID tags, and the stickers, the recycling stickers.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. McKinnon?
Relative to that topic you just mentioned before, the trash discussion. You said we could take 7 or 8 different articles, and there's money left over from those articles, from the bond issues, or from the borrowing, and use it to pay off other borrowing?
Yeah.
Did you say
we're going to use that to pay down some of the some debt. We're doing a this borrowing coming up is a combination of new borrowing, short-term borrowing, and we're refinancing some old debt that we had at higher interest rates to have them at a lower interest rate. But some of that, it just makes sense to pay off. So we're going to pay off some of that rather than even refinance it.
Okay, so we can take money from, I just want to make sure that it,
oh yeah, no,
DOE isn't going to come back at us someday and say, hey, what are you guys doing here?
That's the thing, about money that was borrowed for a capital project, you have to use it for like activities, and one of those activities is just to pay down some of your debt.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So those are the elements of Article 1.
All right, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
No, support, I should say, I'm sorry. Motion to support Article 1.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Article 2.
Article 2, Mr. Chairman, is we have a couple of small unpaid bills that came in late. There was nothing in anybody's control here. In fact, one of the bills just came in 2 weeks ago from a doctor who had forgotten that he hadn't completely billed us. So the total amount is $5,109.
Motion to approve Article 2.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Article 3.
Article 3 are sick leave buybacks, and as was mentioned earlier, we have Chief Gates's buyback at $33,850, and then we have another buyback, and I gave you a memo tonight from Gene Spalding, who is also retiring, and there's let's see what the net is, about $27,000 for her. So that totals $60,837.
Move to support Article 3, sick leave buybacks.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Article 4.
Article 4 is the good news. The other part of the good news is that our accountant, Steve Dooney, is expecting we'll have about $1.7 million in free cash certified this month. So we're going to use some of it, but we're going to put away most of it. I'm recommending we put away a little over $1 million, $14,000, which will bring our stabilization fund up to close to $2.4 million. The economy is getting better. We saw an uptick in many, I think actually all of our local receipts, particularly motor vehicle excise went up. We had a lot of building permits. High Point paid a very big permit. Things that when they happen, you're very lucky because you never expected it. It's not in your revenue forecast, and so it turns into free cash. This will bring us close to where our financial policy suggests that we should be, about 3% of our operating budget.
Perfect.
Motion to support Article 4?
Second.
Motion and second, any other
No,
comments?
that's right now, that's still an estimate because, until we know exactly what free cash is, we may, choose to raise that, if the free cash number is higher, or we may have to adjust it if it's lower, but it's approximately, hopefully, where it will be.
Okay.
You're talking $1.4 million?
$1,014,000.
$1,014,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Yeah, that's a number that we may have to revisit on the night of town meeting, but yeah, that should be substantially the number. Article 5 is, the OPEB funding schedule, $200,000, which we talked about, back in August when you adopted the schedule.
Motion to support Article 5?
Second.
And motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Comments, questions? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Number 6.
Article 6 is the collective bargaining agreement that we didn't, one of the ones that we didn't finish in the spring, the library agreement we finished a couple months ago, and the cost of that agreement, again, it's in the same financial ballpark as all the others, 2%, no other benefit, no other monetary benefits. So the cost of that is $9,000. That's that one agreement.
Motion to support Article 6?
Second.
Motion and second, any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Article 7.
And finally, Article 7 is the article we use to put money into the fund that pays for the reimbursement for certain co-pays and deductibles for our employees. And that was part of our negotiation agreement with them through the Public Employee Committee. We agreed to share 25% of the savings that we received, and this is this and the $80,000 we put aside already fully funds that.
Motion to support Article 7?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, the town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, I did give them, the most recent news of Jean's retirement, and I wish her well, and she's done a great job for the town for a number of years, since 1999, and we're going to miss her, and we'll have to, or the next town manager will have to
Oh, you were just waiting to say that.
Slid right out of that.
figure out how to replace her. I also gave you in my report a letter I received from the League of Women Voters of Hingham that has been undertaking a study of Plymouth County, one of our favorite topics here at the Selectmen's meeting. So I just thought she wrote to me just to alert me, because she had interviewed me a number of months ago with further study, and that they finished the study and had a view a copy of it. I'm told that it has some very interesting information, and just wanted to bring that to your attention. The other thing in the report is Waste Management is in the midst of their customer survey, which they do every couple of years. It's available there. We're going to put it on our website in case people want to just download it and fill it out and send it in. People are welcome to send it to us. We can get it to Waste Management, or they can drop it off at the landfill. And the last few pieces of correspondence were just to remind the board that we have TIF agreements still with 4 companies in town, Holiday Inn Express, Ocean Spray, Christmas Tree Shops, and Sager Electronics. We used to have more, but for a variety of reasons, primarily the inability of companies to create the jobs that they had proposed that they would create, they lost their TIF funding from the state and from us. So this was just a reminder to let you know we still have 4. They're still active, and Jane Cudsey from the Office of Economic and Community Development monitors them and provides the state with that information. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. McKinnon.
For the town manager. I've been up to the landfill recently. We had some discussions here last year where they wanted to reconfigure everything to make it more easy for people to get up there and actually, recycle and so forth. And they've done a great job up there. You don't hang around the landfill that often, but when you have to go there, it's very efficient. They're very helpful. We've got everything is targeted, clearly marked. Really makes it just makes it so much easier. It's great to go up there and drop stuff off. Now, one of the things that we had is a bin up there that if you had old clothing that was beyond, St. Vincent de Paul or one of those boxes, they will take that clothing and grind it up or do whatever they do with it.
Textile recycling.
Yeah, recycling. Yeah.
They used to have a big trailer up there, and now they've gone to a little bin. Now, the little bin is full.
There's little bins all around town.
Yeah, but this one, we get $100 a ton when you go to that one.
The textile recycling, I think we get it at all the bins. There's those bins, like there's one at Nichols Middle School.
No, it's true. But I was up there today, and you're right, that one was full. So I think it may be undersized for what.
Right. And I've got a huge bag of clothing in the back of my company throws away a lot of uniforms.
Yeah.
And instead of throwing them to the dump, or taking them to a furnace, cut the badges off and I put them in there. So
Yeah. No, I'll bring that to their attention, because I
get them
noticed
out
that
of my
today.
car.
Go to the Nichols Middle School.
Get a bigger one.
What?
Go to the Nichols Middle School, there's a bin there.
Is it the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same company.
There's, I think they're at every school.
I think
One at
that's
every
right.
school,
Yeah.
and there's a couple more around. Jeff Stevens actually started that program.
But I agree with Mr. McKinnon. I hadn't seen the new drop-off area before today as well, and it really is nicely done, nicely laid out, well thought out. And, the fact that we even have a place for people to take, oil-based paint and some hazardous, material is very unique and very beneficial. No, they did a nice job.
And anybody can go, any resident of the town can go up there. And you can go up there every day and drop your cardboard off, your newspapers or whatever. It's very efficient, very, very user-friendly. Except for that bin. So I'm sure you'll take care of that bin.
We'll let them know that.
Mr. Chair, I have a real quick question back to the TIFs. The Prana Lodging, is that Holiday Inn?
Yeah, Holiday Inn Express.
All right, thank you.
All right, anybody have anything else?
If you adjourn?
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
There you go.